So we have 30 minutes to go through what you're after, right? I know it's pretty much the same sort of question from all the graduates here, how to get a job in the UK. And
Yes.
I would say my answer is really straightforward. I mean, to answer this question is you need to understand the requirements, what the industry required from yourself. Although, like I mean, you got a really good experience, and in fact, I would add, like I mean, this is what the industry needs, the UK industry, but how to avail that opportunity is a question mark, and most of the students they don't know how to get an approach basically and apply for those jobs. Primarily CV is the main sort of actually people do their CV based on various sort of websites or maybe their own sort of experience, but obviously the way the UK industry works is really explicit, in a sense that I mean, what you are looking for, it's very divisive sort of roles here. Like I mean, if you're applying for site engineer, sort of you've got site experience and you apply for site engineer, you need to be really explicit about the site engineer. This is what I'm looking for, and your experience should match up basically that role, and that's how you apply.
Yeah.
And obviously, before I share you, obviously on your CV, my comments, we can go through those one by one, but I will be blunt and really straightforward in the sense that when I look at your CV presentation, I mean the format is brilliant actually. Obviously, I mean the first impression was really good when I look at the CV, but when I went through line by line and look at the content, that's not what the UK industry would expect, in a sense. So there's a lot of changes required, in a sense. I mean,
Right.
to make it basically in a standard sort of format, what the industry is looking at here.
Okay.
We will go through those ones for sure. Yeah, I'll share my screen and we go through one by one the comments there. But obviously, before I do that, I will ask you just to talk from your end what your aspirations are here. Obviously, I mean you got experience of some design, you got certifications in the design sort of softwares as well. But obviously, your MSc is in construction management and BIM, whether
Yeah.
that is your sort of aspiration. Oh, and I must say, BIM and construction management, even they are completely separate apart in terms of, I mean, when you apply for the jobs. I mean, they have, in fact, no relevancy as such. I mean, when you go to the industry, they're
Yes.
completely falls apart. So that's where I would like to know from your end first, like what your aspirations are, what field, in fact, explicit field you are looking into. Actually, your aspirations are. Then we can go through more depth in that sense.
Yeah. That. So yeah, thanks for giving an opportunity to talk. So yeah, I am basically a civil engineer. So after I completed my bachelor's, I started working as a site engineer, and
Hmm.
I think I am mostly comfortable working on site. But also, I have worked as a CAD technician earlier,
Hmm.
and also I've worked on my self development. Like when I worked on using AutoCAD, I realized that okay, if I have skills using Revit, and the Navis works, how to use, and how at least the basics. So
Yep.
that's when I took these courses, and those didn't really add up to my experience because I just learned them. Like I just took the training, but I cannot say that I'm very proficient in using those softwares, but
Hmm.
I know the basics. But what I am mostly interested in is construction site execution. So I have experience in the industry. I know how it works as a site engineer, how I should get the work done.
Hmm.
Um, So those kind of things are my kind of background. So I come from a site engineering background, and I'm very interested in that sort of work, because I feel that I'm comfortable in that kind of role, and I feel very confident if I get an opportunity to work as a site engineer and execute the work. So those are the kind of the site engineering activities are kind of comfortable work. That's what I feel.
Okay, no, that's brilliant. At least you have the vision. I mean, this is where you're going towards. So that is a good approach. Obviously, I mean, all the other information or all the other training you have certainly helps. In a sense, you understand the overall sort of life cycle of the project. So it does help. It's no, I don't say it's a waste, but obviously, in terms of when you come to do your actual work, it will be pretty much, yeah, no intervention with the AutoCAD as such, or with the with other softwares. I mean, as a construction manager or site engineer, there were completely different sort of, yeah, scenario you will be dealing with rather than, yeah, the design phase. So it's good to know that. What I will do, Nikhil, I will share my screen, and we can go through the comments actually I picked up on your CV, and I think that is the main hurdle. I suppose I didn't ask the question whether, I mean, obviously you mentioned you've been searching for jobs, whether you had any luck so far. I mean, any interviews, anything as such?
Hello, let me introduce you to the JK Civil Engineering Patron Services. There are three types of professional services I currently provide through the JK Civil Engineering Patron, and of course, many more to be added depending on your demand. So let's talk about all the three services. CAS, Pre-CAS or Credibility Interview Preparation. If you wish to study in the UK, you will have to go through the CAS, Pre-CAS or Credibility interviews. There's no way around, unfortunately. The primary reason for these interviews are to judge the candidate English language competency and ensure the intention of the candidates is focused primarily on the study and not anything else. This service includes a maximum of 30 minutes online session with a feel and pressure of the original interview. I do provide the potential interview questionnaire in advance to help you prepare for the mock interview, and any deficiencies in your responses are covered in the section. If you want to have a smooth ride on your UK study and immigration journey, this can be your chance to avail the opportunity. I can proudly say I have assisted over 200 candidates over the last years alone, and with a success rate of 98%. Professional CV service. CV is your selling point to the client and employers. Even if you are a genius in your field and your CV doesn't match your credentials or skill set, a job in the UK will remain on your wish list forever. To maximize your chances of getting the right job in the UK, why not avail this opportunity? With a 2 decade of UK experience in the professional services, I will rewrite your CV with the best possible format for your skill set and industry requirements with a 100% satisfaction guaranteed. A professional job in the UK is not a dream but a reality. So why delay? Apply today. One-to-one session with JK. This is a career counseling service, whether it's about choosing the on-demand courses, finding a job or settlement in the UK. With a 5-star rating from the clients over the years, I can proudly celebrate this service. With the current recession glooming around the globe and a gradual decline in the job markets, competencies in the right skills will make you stand out from the crowd. Before it is too late to rewind your aspiration goalpost, it is right time to take action and choose the right path. Link to the JK Civil Engineer Patron is added to the description below. Thanks for watching.
Yes, I have had a few interviews. I started my job search during around in August, and in September I had an interview for construction engineer with Land Rover, Jaguar Land Rover, and following that I also had an interview for graduate roles, and had telephone interviews and all that. So those didn't really give me a positive feedback later on, but yeah, I've been getting some replies, but not really making it to the final stage.
Okay, no, that's at least, I mean, that is positive. At least you are getting a response. So that is positive, and you have now that experience under your belt. Like, I mean, how to go about basically applying for the jobs and basically get the initial sort of interview done. So you already have that experience. But primarily, as I said, if you're looking for a site engineer role, or yeah, a construction manager sort of role, it needs to be really explicit, and that's where you can attract more sort of, yeah, interview calls in a sense, basically. So you need to be explicit when you look at the job specification and you read them. For instance, what you explained, you're clearly, yeah, towards either site engineer or construction manager sort of, yeah, role. That's what you're looking for. So the CV needs to reflect that. Although all the other experience you are having, like, I mean, training, certification in the design sort of side, you can always, yeah, mention that in your CV. But primary focus should be, yeah, your site engineer and construction manager. And primarily for that, it is really, really important you highlight a lot of time the health and safety. And for the site engineer, is the setting out. I mean, primarily they would expect you to do setting out. I mean, that's what primarily you should be focusing on in your CV. I mean, this is what your target is. So let's crack on with these comments one by one and see if you agree. Obviously, I mean, these are all my comments, so you can completely disagree with them, but this is what I found actually, what you can improve actually with your CV. First of all, like, I mean, construction project manager, site supervisor, site engineer, they are completely three different roles. So you can't express yourself for three different roles. That's where I started off with what your aspirations are. So the way it works in the industry is really explicit. So we have, like, I mean, in a team you would have construction project manager, there'll be site supervisors, and there'll be site engineers. So all three will be on the same project. So of course, I mean, if you're presenting your CV with that, so I'm sure, when they pick up, you can't do all three in one person. That would be really sort of, positive for. I mean, if you could do all three in one person, you could find all that. That's really great, but obviously they're not expecting you, the industry not expecting you to do all three as a one individual. So you need to be explicit. Like, I mean, obviously your experience, your qualification, that gets you the construction project manager. I mean, that's what I would expect you to go with. I mean, obviously you got really good experience there. But yeah, looking at that one is definitely a no in terms of what the industry requires from yourself. So just be really explicit. The same will go basically from there, the title, so that will reflect here as well. Like what I found generic, I will move to the bottom first, actually, really my main comments on your CV. So I'd say CV template is really good. However, content requires significant improvement. I found really generic sort of statements there. And there is potential actually to improve more specific, basically what the industry required here. Like in terms of the terminology, the keywords, I mean, that's where I would be quite a lot. Actually, I would be looking for that one. That should be mentioned in all of them. Especially, I mean, the best strategy for those keywords are, I mean, if you're looking, search for these construction managers role or site supervisor role or site engineers role on the job website, they would have the job specifications. And that's where you can pick the specific keywords, what they are looking for. They are your keywords in a sense. So you need to tie in, pick up all those keywords and actually add to your basically experience, and that's where you attract more sort of calls. That is the best strategy. So when you apply for a job, look at what they're looking for, actually the employer, and pick up those keywords and add it to your CV. That's the best strategy. I'd say experience is there, however it's not presented in a logical or UK standard way, so it needs a bit of a revamping in a sense. Like, I mean, you got the experience there, it's just need to rewrite basically in a sense that you understand what the industry require from you, actually what the requirement is. So reading it through the summary, I would say that should be your punchline. and that
Yeah.
should attract directly towards your aspiration, whether that's a site engineer or that's that one. So this should
Okay.
reflect directly that's what you're looking, and your main experience in that one, basically construction manager, what your experience in that is, and this is what your aspirations are to go into the construction management. So that what it should reflect here. So
Okay.
one paragraph, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, your 4 or 5 sort of lines, and but that should be really explicit about your role, your aspiration. So it needs like currently it's really generic sort of. So I couldn't figure out exactly what you were looking for. Obviously, you mentioned everything there, but not what your aspirations are, what you are looking for. Obviously, you're applying for a job. Reading it through, no one would know basically what roles you're looking for. By the way, I will share these markups with you. So that will be I'll email them with yourself. And you can work on these ones. The actually even that goes into the experience as well. This will be the main content which you should be focusing on. Basically, that's what the employer is expecting of you. So if you're applying for construction manager role, make sure you, as I said, I mean, you read the job description and all the keywords from that should tie in this sort of area basically. So you've done basically supervision, you've done stakeholder liaison, you've done the quality assurance. So all these keywords that should reflect here. That is the bulk what the employer is expecting of you, basically what you actually did as a responsible construction manager. So I mean, reading it through again, this is really generic sort of sentences. I'm sure so a huge improvement can be made, considering. I mean, the best, as I said. I mean, if you read it, the job specification, straight away you can pick up basically those keywords from there and add it here. I mean, obviously, I mean, making sure you already done that in your experience and you have that skills there. So I would just add it there. And that same comment, I would say that goes all along. Like I found really sort of the in terms of the English, it's a bit of a no in a standard, I should say, what the industry would be looking for a construction manager with so much experience. So it needs a bit of more polishing. Basically, these sentences, the way you present it, is no. It may, as I said, I mean, initially when I opened the CV, it was a good impression. It's written in really good format, I must say. But when you go deep dive actually into the details, it doesn't attract me at all. Although you got the experience, but it's not presented the way it should be done.
Right.
So it's just basically a formatting thing, I should say. Reformatting the English, the sentences basically. Primarily, that's what I found. Also, like I mean, interpersonal skills. Right, before I go there, like I mean, technical skills. See, when I look at that one, this is too much. Like I mean, it goes from the CAD, like a technician sort of, the design side here, and then site engineer, site execution. Yeah, that's all site engineer sort of roles there. Quality analysis. So that should be quality assurance. So that's again like a construction manager sort of role. And then supply chain management, contract documentation, project management, that go into commercial sort of side there as well. And ISO standards. So it's so much there. I would say from top to bottom. I don't expect you if you're applying for the construction manager or site engineer role. In fact, you will caught up yourself in a mess when it comes to the interview stage, because what happened during the interview, they will go line by line. I mean, these ones, if you mention them, like for instance ISO standard, they may ask you what does ISO standard, what standard you're referring to here, what quality assurance, what according to what standard you did that quality assurance. So the more you need to ensure you only put the stuff there which you're competent about. I mean, and you're competent to talk about it rather than just mentioning it there. I know it's good. I mean, it attracts more sort of keywords there, but obviously all these needs to be relevant to what you're looking for. For instance, I mean, if you're going for construction manager role, to be honest, they won't be interested what ISO standards you're going for. All they will be interested in CDM regulation. That is very relevant, health and safety. They
Right.
won't be interested with these ones. AutoCAD, Revit, BIM 360. They won't be interested to know these ones. Although it's a keyword there, but obviously they won't be keen to know about these ones as a construction manager. And in fact, that it won't attract any sort of question in the interview. So you need to make sure you add the stuff that is relevant to what your aspirations are, and you have the right skills actually to explain that in the interview as well. And that, in fact, I mean, all the interview, that is completely, I would say 80-90% will be based on your CV. And that's because that is the bridge. I mean, that is the standard. I mean, how you present yourself to the employer. I mean, this is your skills, and that you need to represent that in the interview. So 90% will be, all question will be around, yeah, whatever you presented there. Obviously, I mean, if you have skills and you're already gone through these experiences, it will be easy just to tick off here and explain, I mean, what you did. But obviously, these are certain things, I would say, they may caught you up. You're going to caught yourself up basically in some, when they start questioning about all this, like a quality assurance, what standard ISO standards you use. Like, I mean, that might be the question. Yeah, you go quality assurance, ISO standards. So these kind of, you need to be really explicit about what you've done, what your skills are. Similarly, like, I mean, their interpersonal skills as well. I think this is just an additional. I don't think you need to go really into these ones. These are really sort of generic terminology there, and you can't prove them in a sense, like interpersonal skills. For instance, like, I mean, taking ownership. I mean, how do you prove? I mean, taking ownership. Obviously, I mean, if that is the case, you can explain it there in your experience. But if they ask you, a certain question about it, it's really hard actually to prove them. Like a strong work ethic, right? I mean, employer will expect you with a work ethic there, obviously. But how do you prove you have that until they hire you and they look at basically how you work in the industry, and they can assess you. But you can't just take ownership of all the interpersonal skills, in a sense, what I'm trying to say. So it's too much there, I should say. In fact, shouldn't be, I wouldn't include that there. In fact, I would add, like, I mean, here, the key skills rather than technical skills. I would say key skills, and you can include, like, I mean, all these are software, so you can add them all in one, like software skills, including AutoCAD, Revit, BIM, all the software as a one bullet point. And the other interpersonal skills, which is very, very relevant to yourself, is the basic communication skill, presentation skill. Obviously, as a construction manager, that's what your skills will be required. You can add that there as a key skills. So you cover basically your software skills, also your interpersonal skills here in the same sort of, Don't need to elaborate here too much about, there's so many questions you're gonna basically receive when it comes to the interview. So I don't want you to get to that stage and then struggle to answer. So obviously, and they will attract quite a lot of questionnaire there.
Yeah. Okay.
In terms of experience, I say you got the experience there. It's just reformatting. That's all need, Nikhil. It's basically not the actually for a construction manager. It needs to be really explicit. Like, I mean, for instance, if I say if I'm reading that one, constructed a tower with 10 floors. So it appears to me like, I mean, you're doing as a labor job rather than you're doing as a site role. So constructed a tower with the 10 floors coordinated with 3 other engineers. So it's really generic sort of statement there. It could be really more attractive, like a management of construction of a tower or something like that. But it's really just rewording the stuff there. As I said, I mean, the experience is there. It's just a matter of presenting it the right way. Again, going down. So certification again, like, I mean, you got CSCS card there. Again, it's just a split there. I believe they are just the same thing. Health and safety test managers, so that give you the AQP basically. there. It's just additional. I won't suggest. I mean, you just for the sake of filling the pages. I mean, you add more and more stuff there. The more
Right.
concise, yeah, your CV is, the better. And just concentrate on your strengths. That's what it matters. So relevant to you, like I mean, as I said, construction manager, anything relevant to that role, that will be the best strategy. Just concentrate on that specific, and you don't need to anticipate anything further than that, basically, because if you're applying for that job, the employer won't expect you to know a lot more, or obviously the basic knowledge. I mean, that's what you need to know about the industry, but nothing more than that. I would say, yeah, 99% would be just specific to that role, actually, what they're looking for. If there's any, yeah, one, two other question, generic sort of question, they may ask you about the industry. But I would say it would be completely about your relevancy, what you're applying for. So you need to concentrate really on that one. This is very, very much, obviously, this is relevant to your sort of, yeah, construction manager. You need the CSCS card. That's really good. Again, yeah, I went through these ones, which I believe. I mean, if you're going for construction managers, did you really needed them? Like, I mean, you've done that recently. Yeah, all these. I didn't think. I mean, that would be really much of use actually if you're going as a site engineer or construction manager. But obviously, it's always a positive. You got the knowledge. It's always a positive. It's not a waste at all, because you may interface with all these different people, like architecture, designer, or all the mechanical sort of, yeah, stuff there. So at least, I mean, you have the basic knowledge. It's always a positive, as I said. But the employer won't anticipate you to know a lot more about the softwares and all these stuff. As long as you cover yourself specific to your job role, that's all it matters. So all in all, I would say it needs a revamping, the whole CV, to attract more calls, more interviews. And also, I would highly recommend the UK knowledge, actually, the industry knowledge. I'm sure, I mean, you're going through the MSc here, so you would know basically where to get all these information, like CDM regulations and all the HSC website, IC websites, all these stuff. That's all you need to know, basically. And for the site engineer role, I would say 80% question would be around your supervision skills, like I'm liaising with the subcontractor, how you control that subcontractor, and the health and safety. Basically, that is the primary sort of, yeah, you should be focusing on. The more knowledge you have the more grip you have on these skills, that's where you're going to attract, basically, you're going to catch the job. And that should be your primary sort of focus, especially CDM regulations, health and safety laws, legislation, yeah, all these. That's what it matters in your role, what you're looking for. Like, I mean, I've been doing actually this CVs quite a lot recently. I wanted to just give you a feel, basically, what I've been doing. Obviously, I'm providing another service just for your information. As I said, you can revamp your CV, send it back to me. I can review again, give you my feedback. If that's what you prefer, that's absolutely fine with me. You can just go by my comments. I mean, if you can incorporate them and want me to have another review, I can do that via email, basically, not a problem at all. Just for your information, I've been doing, like, I mean, this is the main sort of, basically the problem currently I'm facing with especially the overseas graduates. So the CV is not up to the mark. This is actually one of the recent, he's experienced like yourself, Manhattan, and I rewrote actually his CV there, ensuring basically what he's looking for, so all the contents there in a logical sort of way, what you would actually the industry would expect from you. Like, I mean, he's like a 9 years experience there, so all experience, the titles, basically what I should be expecting in the UK industry. The key skills, I think I mentioned that, you can write the similar way, basically key skills, and write them everything in one sort of go there. Education affiliation, that's exactly. In fact, I must add actually, like majority of them, I had a really positive response. Like, I mean, they have succeeded in getting the interview calls actually. Like, for instance, she has, I've done that a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the very next week, actually, he said he got an interview. I had a meeting after that as well, just to give him brief, basically, what he needs to do for the interview. But in a
Right.
sense, the content is there. It's just the way you represent them. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I mean, if you look at this CV, so I know the standard, what the industry is looking for. So the professional summary, as I said, just one paragraph, and exactly you need to understand what you're looking for. So, like for instance, here he's a graduate currently seeking a design opportunity in the civil and structural engineering discipline. So straight away you identify yourself, basically what you're looking for. These are basically your strengths, and this is what you're looking for basically. And then obviously if you got experience, then you go with experience there, your key skills and education. uh, as I said, I mean, your CV is attractive. I mean, looking at the first side, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, the content. I suppose it needs a bit more rework.
Okay.
And I'm sure, yeah, you can brush up those ones before you start applying. But the key thing is, Nikhil, let me share the other document. Like, I mean, this is generally basically a note for yourself. Like, when you're applying for any role, you must first carefully review the job description. Obviously, you must be doing, you are actually applying for jobs now.
Yeah.
This will enable you to pick up the relevant opportunity to truthfully mirror the skills, competency in the job description with your CV. So, as I said at the start, you just need to read that job description and pick up that relevance or what they're looking for, those keywords. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why you need to, all the time, you need to make sure you just basically tie in the two. And before you apply, make sure all the keywords are there in your CV. And that's
Right.
that's where you bring yourself to the top, basically. When they do a search basically on the CV, then that's where it will attract you. Basically your CV is going to the top. So that is important point there. I've added actually a few CPDs or free websites. I'm sure you will be aware. You've been here,
Yeah.
yeah, for quite some time in the UK. But for yourself, I would say HEC, if you're not already basically familiar with that one, HEC website, that's where you should be looking at. All the law, yeah, these health and safety laws should be there, and they're all free stuff. So you can familiarize yourself with that one. And for yourself, I mean, that is where you need to have the full grip on basically HEC. That's
Okay.
that's where the site role, construction manager role, that's where they need to go basically
Yeah.
to attract basically more knowledge. And finally, job portals. I'm sure, yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, you're already receiving calls, so you've been applying, yeah, through these websites. But just for your reference, in fact, yeah, these are like the top a few I've been personally using. I've been in the railway industry, so personally I use that quite a lot actually, railwaypeople.com. But obviously, there's no restriction. You can go in the railway construction side as well. So you can always check there as well. But obviously, all these are pretty much, yeah, really sort of, yeah, I personally use as well. So these job portals. So it's always
Also,
helpful actually to look on all of them. Sometimes, yeah, you may find a job on one website, not on the other. So it's always good, yeah, to have a search on all of them. I will provide, basically this PDF as well for your reference, and also the CV markups. So you want to revamp and redo your CV before applying for a new job and see if that do the magic. And I hope that will, yeah, make a difference. I'm pretty certain, yeah, if you just consider these comments, I'm sure, yeah, that's going to help you.
that's perfect. It has really brought some information, and I can really understand what I need to be doing in the CV to make it better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I also wonder if what's the service you will be you are providing for CV writing as well, if you have one.
So the CV writing is exactly the same, basically the way you join this service. But what you do is just go to the CV. Obviously, you already review your CV. It make my life quite a lot easy. Basically, generally, when the people send me for the first time, I have to go through the same way as I already done for yours, and then I start from scratch. Basically, I go and start writing from the scratch, as you saw. Basically, different sort of formats, and I just depending on experience. Basically, what looks really good with your experience, and I take that as a format. In fact, yeah, it's a completely revamp, basically, completely a new CV. Obviously, taking your CV as a base, what your experience are, and I will rewrite from scratch. Actually, that's what I do, and it takes me a bit of a time. Obviously, generally, as I say to the actually the clients, a week. But yeah, because I have to do each individual sort of, and with experience like yourself, obviously, if it's a graduate, no experience is quite easy. Obviously, you go quite limited sort of content there, but with experience of yourself, quite a lot of list there. So it takes a bit of a time basically to rewrite that. But generally, it's a week sort of time, return time. So I do completely a new CV, share with the client, and making sure he's happy before we conclude actually that chapter. I mean, that's how it works.
I think I would like to choose that because I've been using the CV, and I've been working on it over and over again. Every day I keep changing the information in
Right.
this. Yeah, and
Well, in that sense, to be honest, I mean, it still needs quite a lot of work, as I mentioned actually in my comments. So it does need really a good sort of revamp.
yeah.
If that helps you, so certainly, yeah, I would suggest, I can take that on board. And as I said, I mean, you will make my life a bit easier. I already gone through your experience, so I know a lot about your experience now. So it's a matter of getting start again, basically rewriting them.
Okay. So I really need to revamp it because I'm unemployed for 6 months, and I don't want to keep this
No,
gap.
actually, that's really hurtful to hear that. Actually, 6 months, and with your experience, certainly, I mean, you should be attracting a lot more, because I know, the industry, how much requirement that is actually, well, how much, like your experience, especially, you got the experience there, and certainly you should be on the job list for sure. And all CV does is just basically closing the bridge between yourself and your employer. I mean, that's what you're representing yourself, through the CV. So as long the CV is not up to the mark, that's what happens. Actually, you don't get a call.
I think absolutely I would need your help with this, with revamping my CV. I'm actually looking for HS2 projects as well, because I'm really interested in those the railway projects coming across during in the West Midlands. So
no, that's if you get yourself into the HS2, trust me, you will retire there. It's a never-ending story there.
So of course, yeah. I've been following it. I've been seeing, and it's been like a dream now. And I'm thinking, when will I get an opportunity, get at least a interview? But the CV is not at all going through. I've tried a lot of jobs for HS2, because they have many jobs now for HS2. And
absolutely, it's a never-ending story with HS2. I mean, they are attracting all the jobs and all the resources they are attracting actually from all other projects. So there's a lot happening actually at the moment with HS2, and there are opportunities as always there. It's just finding the right sort of basically how you apply and how your CV is. As I said, I mean, this is the only way you represent yourself towards your employer. And if CV is not up to the mark, that's where you lag behind basically.
Yeah. So what do you suggest, JK? I would need a revamping for my CV as well. Do you have anything for me that might help?
Well, to be honest, I mean, you go through those websites, as I said, for construction manager, I can rewrite that as a construction managers sort of obviously looking at your experience. In the interim, what you could do is making sure the HSC website, you go from start to end. Basically, there's a lot to read, and basically get the knowledge of health and safety. That's what's going to help you. The CDM regulations. CDM regulation is something that's what you will be asked time and time again, actually, in every interview if you're going for site roles. So I would suggest get as much knowledge as possible. I can do a revamp of your CV. What you could do, the way you took the membership, basically one-to-one, you just go to the CV service there. I already have your CV, so I will start rewriting them. And as I said, I mean, I will share that via email. As long, I mean, you are happy, that's where we close the chapter. Basically, I can do basically a few sort of on and off as well. And if you're not happy, you want to change something, and I do provide PDF as well as the Word format as well, so you can change minor, if there's anything minor changes, you can do your stuff basically. So
okay, that sounds good.